Boom, boom, kaboom. It's Noob Nukem in the room. Good evening and welcome to episode 16 of the Gaming Fuse podcast. I am your host, as I said, Mr. Boom, boom, kaboom. It's Noob Nukem in the room. So first and foremost, before we get right into all of the fun topics and stuff, Titan Drago cannot be with us tonight. Unfortunately, he's not feeling the best. A little bit on the dragged outside. He's Titan Dragon tonight. So yeah, he's just dragging himself all over the floor apparently. So, yeah, he won't be here. Kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But we will have another great show. We do have my phenomenal co-panel member, straight and live from Northern Canada, Mental 9R.
What is up, folks? Happy to be here tonight. Not going to slack the way Titan has been lately. I mean, he's back for a week. Now he's gone again. I don't know about that guy. Noof, guy's really letting us down here lately. I'm one to talk, of course. I've missed a few shows too, so obviously I'm just joking. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the show tonight. Should be a good time as usual. And yeah, let's get.
I'll give it this much: his podcast record is more active than my sex life. At least he's doing more in and out than I am.
Oh,
woo! Yeah. There we go. Starting the show off hot.
It's good. Yeah, no doubt. Let's get her going.
All right. Before we get into what we've been playing, let's bring in a first-time guest on this show. Love the name, which means we're going to ask him how he got the name. Maybe it lives up to exactly who it is we're going to introduce right now. The community, actually, a lot of times I reach out to the community and say, who would you like to see on this podcast? And a few people had mentioned this gentleman. And I got to admit, and I feel a little ashamed that I wasn't super familiar with him, but I had seen him around and heard him on a few different podcasts. But tonight he's on ours, and let's get familiar with him. Give him a big warm welcome, making his first time appearance. The Game Complainerz.
Hey, what's up?
And you may pay heed to his background. He wins background of the evening, hands down. Looks awesome.
Thanks. I try to use this one every week.
There you go. So if you're not happy with Starfield, maybe you can play Garfield instead.
Yeah, awesome. There you go.
Oh, man.
All right. Before we find out what everybody's been up to and playing, let's give a big warm welcome and shout out to our amazing chat, starting with the one and only Doggy Dog 421st in the house, as followed by our other good friend Timothy Dixon is here as well. We got Casket Repair hanging out with us. Talus Ray is in the building. Good to see you here, my friend. We got Slendy. What's happening, Slendy? Good to see you. We got our good friend of the show, Dreadpool, is here. Draven Arrow is here as well, so all is good in the world when Draven Arrow shows up. Timmy in the building. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Casket Repair is here. So we got some of the who's who of the awesome supporters. You're Wicked Hot is in the building. Hot, what's going on, brother? I miss you. We got to play a game sometime, bro. It has not been the same. You got to get Wild Baits going too, man. Miss you guys. Crazy Greek Dude is in the house. We got Dragon Heart Yobi. RWK88 is in the building. We got Froggy T, right? We got Sir X-Man right on. We got awesome people rolling in right now. That's fantastic. And I think I've caught up with everybody. If I did not give you a shout out, I do apologize. Thank you so much for being here. You are why we do this podcast stuff each and every week. So yeah, let's get the show on the road. Let's go. Mental. Should I take our wild guess at what you've been diving deep into the last week or so?
Just the Starfield, man. Just the Starfield. And yeah, no, and I'll take the hit for making us late here too, because I got complaining to the Game Complainerz about my 4090 dying on me last night. So I'm not a happy guy, but I stole my daughter's car and I ordered a replacement, and I'll be arming this Asus piece of junk, and as soon as I get the replacement, I'm gonna sell the thing. So yeah. That's it though. Starfield. I think I'm level 25 now, and 60 hours or so in, and yeah, still loving every minute of it. I'm having a really good time, and some of those side quests,
right?
They're really good, really impressive, and there's some really good ships to be had apparently. And I got one of them on the last one that I just wrapped up. So definitely worth checking out those side quests if you guys haven't done that.
Yeah, there's something just oddly addicting about Starfield. I don't know exactly what it is. I can't put my finger on it, but it is one of those games that feels like when you pick it up and you start playing, you go, yep, let's play an hour. And the next thing you know, it's like 4 hours later and you're, God dang,
Yeah, yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like, I keep telling myself, I'm going to go to bed early tonight. The next thing I know, there it is, 1 a.m. again. Okay, I'll just finish this thing up, and then it's 2 a.m. and it's like, oh, I got to get to bed. What am I doing? Yeah, it's
It's
one of
always
those
what's
games.
around the next corner, right? What
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
mission are we going to get next, and
yeah.
who's going to attack us when we enter the orbit? That sort of stuff.
Yeah, I haven't played a game like this. It's been at least a decade since I've played anything that I've been this interested in getting back into right away. Yeah, what can I say? Really enjoying
Awesome.
it. It's good stuff.
Well, I think we know what one of the front runners is for his game of the year. All right, Mr. Garfield, aka Game Complainerz. What have you been playing? That's your first question. And second question I want to know, and probably everybody else on this panel wants to know, where did you come up with the name the Game Complainerz? Sometimes complaints are very warranted. Sometimes, sometimes it's just a lot of people on a lot of hot air, right? But if we didn't complain about something, the God knows a lot of people that are in my chat are used to me complaining. I'm notorious for it. Yes, that's the second question: is where'd you come up with the name? And introduce yourself a little bit to those who are not acquainted.
So my name is Perry. I own a video game store in upstate New York. So I do that like as my
Nice.
real job. We sell retro games and stuff like that. I know Dreadpool, who's in the chat room, very well. So he's the
Poor
guy that kind
man.
of
Right
recommended
on.
me. So basically, I played Starfield for a few hours when it launched, before it launched, because I bought the $34 thing, premium edition. Pretty good game so far. I got to get back into it. I just jumped into Mortal Kombat 1. I played it for a little bit, just exhibitions. I really got to jump into the campaign of that. So I'm really like playing games like that. And I built a computer for Starfield, and I put RetroArch on there and all that stuff. So I'm playing like old retro games and stuff like that. I stream them every night. At least I try to do it every night. So that's pretty much it. And the name, so my buddy, he has his own channel, Let's Talk Resident Evil. His name is Anthony. He was supposed to do a podcast with one of his friends, and he couldn't make it. So I said, hey, why don't we just do a podcast? He goes, okay, but it can't be Resident Evil because I don't want to get the other guy mad. I said, let's just talk about games or whatever. So we were talking about, this is in 2013. We were talking about like the Activision thing with the Skylanders. They were doing some sort of like shady DLC stuff, and they were raising the prices and stuff like that. And we were talking about like games that are overpriced and games that aren't worth the money and all this other stuff. It just was random talk. And at the end of the show, it's like, we should just call the show Game Complainers. I don't know. And 500, I think tomorrow or Wednesday will be our 510th episode.
Nice.
500 episodes later, like we're right here. So
Right
there you
on.
go.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice
Thanks.
story, man.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And Dreadpool is a great guy for bringing you in. He's one of the guys who recommended we have you on here, and I know you had expressed interest to me, so it was just a double bonus. When a great guy like Dread recommends someone for the show, I know we're going to get an awesome person on here because Dread's got good character and good judgment on people in the community. So Dread's one of the finest. Dread, we got to get you on here too, Dread. By the way, Dread, I mean, if you want to come on tonight, Dread, you're welcome to join us.
Yeah, come in.
We'd love to have you. So just let me know, man. We got room since Titan's not here to a spouting. So great story, man. Greatly appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I've been listening to you for a long time, Noof, and I love your Arnold. You're the best Arnold I've ever heard.
That makes me feel good, man. I appreciate it. I've heard that from a lot of people. Sometimes I feel like my Arnold is spot on. There's other weeks where I'm a little bit off, but depends on my voice and stress and a bunch of different factors. But yeah, but I love doing it, and I love making the community laugh. That's certainly one of my favorite things, is not only just talk about games, but to bring in a little bit of humor into some of the podcasts. That's the thing that's kept me running this long, is hearing people say, Noof, you got me through some shitty times. Your podcast really made me laugh, and I needed that at work, or I needed that in my life. And there's no better compliment than getting that from the community that supports you. And this community is amazing. I might not have the biggest following, but my God, the people that are here, they're like family, man. I've known them for years now.
Absolutely.
People, so it's fantastic. Yeah. And I'm lucky to have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
That's all you can ask for, man.
You bet.
That consistency. A lot of guys here, you see them here every week. It's awesome.
Okay. So, guys, obviously Starfield's been out a couple of weeks now, so just let's do that real quick. So, where are you at this point in time where you've played it? Like, are you starting to feel like some of the great scores have been warranted, or perhaps some of the lower scores are a little more accurate or reflective of that game? You can take this one, Game Complainerz. You want to start out?
I'm only about 4 hours in, and
okay,
so
too
far,
early to judge.
Yeah, so it's a little too early for me to judge. I think just by playing it, though, I think that this game is probably what everyone wanted, as far as like, it's not really a simulator, but as far as like a space exploration type game, like this is the game. Like how Skyrim was for like the RPG folks, like this is for people that love space and all that stuff. This is it. Like this is their game, and I can appreciate that because they put a lot of work into it, and it's crazy.
We certainly have. You can definitely see there's been a lot of love that's poured into it.
Yep.
How about yourself, Mentally? You're much further than either one of us right now. So, and based on your opening statements, I would say that you are pretty damn enthralled with this game. Is it on the same level as Elder Scrolls Skyrim when that came out? Because that game, that became so popular, it was pretty much almost on everything except your refrigerator. Actually, I think it might have even been on a refrigerator at one point in time. And, everybody had it, and it became a meme. I mean, games are so big when they become like pop culture and they become memes. So do we think Starfield is somewhere on that level, and does it even matter?
Well, for me, I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but yeah, this game is in terms of Bethesda's games, Skyrim was great. I probably put 300 or so hours into Skyrim. Really, really, really enjoyed it. Great game. The other than that, Fallout 3 was the other one that really grabbed me from Bethesda. I played that on my Xbox 360 and did every last achievement there was to do, including all the DLC, like 1500 out of 1500 score on that one. That's very rare for me to do that type of stuff. I'm not, I don't feel compelled to complete games in their entirety. There's some games, you play them, the main story is enough. This is one of those games where I don't know. Well, if I was playing it on Xbox and not on Steam, I could see me, pounding away for those achievements for sure. I don't care really about Steam achievements. I've been playing on that platform since before it was Steam. So I don't care too much about that stuff, but wow. The more I play, the more it seems to give back, just the way Mr. Howard said it would. Yeah. He said the more you put into it, the more it gives you back. And that's what I'm finding. I just keep finding new and crazy things that I wasn't expecting. It's that good.
That's a very good, extremely great point. And I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of where I am on this game is that I'm enjoying it completely. Like, and that's a large statement from me coming from a guy who's not notoriously big on most Bethesda RPGs. I like the Bethesda stuff, like the Wolfenstein series and stuff like that, essentially. But as far as like their RPGs, I've never really been drawn to one. But I am playing this game like night in, night out, pretty much for the most part, and totally enjoying it. But I can kind of see, like, I'm not as far along as you, but I've done enough, and I kind of go to myself and thinking, it's the kind of game that I hope people stick with it because, again, what you get out of it is kind of what you put in. And it's not one of those games. It's not like a Spider-Man. It's not like a God of War. It's not like a lot of those narrative-based games that rely on story moments to kind of grab you and captivate you. Like, so, those games are what I call the popcorn of the industry. Those are those games that, 20, 30 hours. It's kind of a quick in, quick out, from point A to point B, they play largely the same, but it's got a lot of set pieces along the way. Kind of like Call of Duty's always known, right? Call of Duty's aren't notoriously long, but they grab you from the start and kind of hold you through that 7-8 hour run. This game feels like, it eases you in, doesn't tell you a whole lot, but you really got to start exploring. And you got to start. It's one of it's really one of those games that you got to start picking away. You got to be one of those curious people that like messing around with things and picking at stuff. And the genius of this game does start to shine through when the more you play, like just the little things of on the planets. And like I said, so far they've been nailing the combat is awesome. I love the ship combat. I was actually thought that was going to be disappointing. I actually love it.
Me
I find
too.
it's really good. And and it reminds you of Star
Mm-hmm.
Trek in the way, like, you got to manage your shields and manage your your weapon power, and you got to balance your ship for different fights,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Like, so the whole game has these. That's the sort of thing this game has tons of. It has these little intricacies that the average gamer is just going to skip over because it's not action packed enough. It's not, that sort of thing. So, it's disappointing. A lot of people are going to play at 4 or 5 hours in and go, it's not. I don't see what the big deal is. But I think if you're into your level mental, the
Yeah.
game's really going to start to shine.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm just, the tip of the iceberg with regards to doing stuff with my ships. I haven't built a ship from scratch. I haven't developed that skill yet in the game, and that's one thing that I can say for people that aren't that far along and haven't played it that much. Definitely don't be compelled to spend your skill points the second you get them. Uh, hold on to them. Maybe if there's some skill that you really think you really want to have and you're convinced that's the way to go, unlock it. You know, maybe up it a couple times or something. But again, like, I had no idea how much I would want the piloting skills and the stuff related to the space battle. But the more I do it and the more I unlock there, the more fun it's been. And I mean, it feels pretty good when you can go up against 5 or 6 enemies and come out on top.
Right.
And I got into messing with upgrades on the ships, like I said, and changing the weaponry to suit my fighting style and the way I like to attack. And I mean, I'm maybe more aggressive than some people. I don't know. I don't play
So
a
far,
lot of
one of my
defense.
favorite things
So
is taking out a ship and then getting to board it. That's so cool. Reminds you of the episodes of Star Trek when they board the ships, and then you go in and you got to take out the crew or what have you. That shit's kind of cool. I think that's great, and
it is.
not a lot of games let you do that. Just go up and disable a ship to the point of not blowing them to pieces. You could if you want it, but hey, let's see what's in there, right?
Yep. I always try and save 1 or 2 to that way if I can in a battle. Sometimes I get a little overzealous, though. I'm not gonna lie, and I end up killing them when I don't mean to. But it is what it is, and I think that's been part of my struggle with. Yeah, it's been part of my struggle with building my own fleet. Right, I keep blowing the ships up when I don't mean to, but. It is really cool how you can go in and just start changing parts on the ship, and some things you can do, some things you can't, and it keeps track of what you've done, and you got to make sure that it's flight worthy after, and it might complain at you that it's unbalanced and you need to add something else. Maybe your engines aren't powerful enough anymore, whatever the case might be. It's a lot of fun, and just seeing some of the stuff that people have built online is like mind-blowing to me. Like some of the ships that you go around and look at some of these creations, and it's amazing what people are doing. Definitely makes me want to get more into that. I've never been really an outpost kind of guy. Like frankly, that's what turned me off of Fallout 4. There was too much of that type of stuff in the game for my taste. So I just, I never finished that one. But, outposts or something, as you go through the story, you kind of have to, well, you don't have to, but the option is there to get into it. Eventually I will try and build an outpost of some kind, but the shipbuilding has me at this point, and I'm trying to save up some skill points now so I can unlock more of the piloting and things like that.
So Talos is trying to get the rockets on the ships. What you need to do, first of all, is you need to basically buy the rockets from a vendor, I think it is. Otherwise, you just got lasers, different levels. And then you equip when you go into your ship menu, then you outfit the ship, and you have to assign them to one of the left trigger, right trigger, I think, or the Y button. I think that's how they have it listed or something like that.
Those are your 3.
And then, of course, from there, you modify those lasers and rockets for more power. There's different mods or different upgrades to those components. So, yeah.
It's like when you go in, you've got options to upgrade your ship, but you want to go into shipbuilder, and that's where you can delete the current weapons that are on it. And then you can open up the menus and look at what you have for options. Some of the stuff you won't be able to use unless you become like higher leveled in shipbuilding and things like that. But yeah, that's where you want to go, and you can definitely add things. You can increase your shield capacity. One of the things I learned early on is I spent more buying, bigger things than what I could actually outfit on my ship, right? Like I couldn't put a reactor that was big enough on it because I'm not skilled enough. So I'm, running around with all this capacity in engines and stuff on my original ship that I can't fill. Because unless I take away all the weaponry, then okay, yeah, great, I can up some of these things, and my grav drive is, never filled to the top, even close, right? But it has the capacity, so it's a learning experience.
Yeah, our good friend, our Rob, our double in the chat, like he says he's in the majority and he doesn't like it. And you know what? That's a fair opinion. If it's not his bag, if he's just not feeling it, who's the shit on him for that? That's the whole. That's the beauty of this gaming industry. Not everybody's going to like it. There are going to be reviewers who don't like it. We just can't get up in the fields for everybody that is going to shit on something that you love. That's life. At the end of the day,
for everyone,
if you're looking to buy a game, go to the reviewers that best align with your sensitivities and your alignments. And then if they like the game, you're probably going to like the game, right? Like that's kind of how it goes. As I said, I'm not normally a big Bethesda RPG kind of guy. I'm never really keen on the Fallouts. I think Skyrim was probably the first one that really started to pull me into any level of degree. But I like them good enough that I would play them and would give them a chance as opposed to playing 20 minutes and going, yeah, it's just another typical whatever. I'm done with this kind of crap. So that's where we're at, right? It's all good.
Honestly, man, I did not expect to like the game like this much. I mean, I thought, oh yeah, I'll enjoy it. I'll probably rip through the main story and maybe do the odd quest here and there. Had no idea I'd be like this far in and this many hours and still a long way from done.
Right.
I just didn't expect that. So it's been a very pleasant surprise for me.
Let's get to one of the super chats here. We came in earlier tonight from our good friend Doggy Dog and Mr. Game Complainerz. If you like, you can read this one out.
Monday night, woo, gaming fuse. Oh, I read that backwards. Monday night, gaming fuse time, woo.
Yeah, baby, there you go. Or in Doggy Dog, Monday night, gaming fuse time, woo. So Doggy Dog would do it. He got lots of spunk.
Yeah.
Game Complainerz. By the way, in your intro, you said that you own or you work at a game store.
No, I own it, man.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Now, is it a franchise store? Or is it just a mom and pop of the smaller ordeal?
It's a mom and pop. We just celebrated 7 years a few months ago, and I'm going up to 10, awesome, and then I'll decide what I'm going to do.
That's awesome,
brother. I just want to say, on behalf of the hardcore and the physical game community out there, I applaud you.
Thank you.
It really means the world to us. Unfortunately, the game society is changing, and I've always been a strong advocate against it. And I'm seeing too much crap here recently that scares the hell out of me when it comes to digital purchases. I've been watching people online say how they're losing their whole collection, and even the other day, this is a great example, right? Ron Perlman. Everybody know who Ron Perlman is?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw his video, but apparently, like, he had thousands and thousands of songs collected over the years from his 8 tracks, his this and that, and he had them all converted to digital, right?
Right.
So he had them everything stored because he said I've owned the vinyl, then I own them on cassette, and then I own the friggin' the CD, and he said most of these songs I've even owned 2 or 3 times, right? So anyway, he's got all this digital stuff, and he has it stored in his computer, and of course I think it's an Apple or one of the phones, and all of a sudden it all just disappears out of the blue. It's all gone. He's got no access to it. And he's pissed off, so he's calling customer service, and he's getting a huge runaround. He even has one of his tech friends come over to try to help him out, and he's still getting a runaround. Then finally, right, he calls Apple, and they suggest him to they don't know what to do, right? They can't help him out, but they suggest that he should pay $10 a month or whatever to get the Apple service. And he goes, what? He decides, fuck it, I'm going to just do this. So he upgrades and gets the Apple. He goes, and then all of a sudden he said, I see this little sync. This little syncing button up in the top, and he goes, sync library. He said, what library? I lost it all. So he syncs library, and guess what he says? All of his songs mysteriously came back again. Right? And he goes, so you see what's up with that, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a lot of that in this world where they're going to take content away, put it back, bill you for it, charge you for it, second dip you. Nintendo already does it notoriously.
Oh, yeah.
So
it is the problem with digital,
right?
That's the reality,
big,
right?
Big problem. That's huge.
Yeah, don't forget though too, like Blu-ray discs, like optical, that's an organic disc. It won't last forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Eventually, it will wear out, and that's it. It's done. Um, it's, I mean, probably cartridges are the best. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, that type of flash storage tends to last pretty well. But yeah, I tell you, it's a sad world. That's why I'll buy my games for PC anyway from GOG, because no DRM. I can back them up myself. I can do whatever I want with them. I don't need some funky launcher to play them. I can just launch the game with the executable and it works. I back it up to my local storage on my NAS. I back it up to optical, and I've got my library.
Nice.
Theoretically, they can't take it away. So I'm slowly, games I really love, as soon as they show up on GOG, I pick them up there too. And then I've got a DRM free version that if Steam goes away one day, I don't need to worry about it.
Yep.
One of these days when the apocalypse finally comes, anyone with digital libraries is completely fucked.
Yeah. Just wanted to say one thing on the store concept though. I mean, I love what you're doing there. That's awesome.
Thanks.
There's a little store back where I used to live when I was near Vancouver on the West Coast there. They've been in business for as long as I can remember, since I was, like early teens anyway.
Wow.
And it was run by the parents at that time. The kids took it over, and they've got their audience. It's a store where you can still go in and rent a game, like the physical disc. They've diversified into movies and stuff too, right? But if you're looking for, I don't care what the console is, odds are they probably have one in stock.
Nice.
Really old stuff, and they've got all the old games. They do disc resurfacing. They do all kinds of junk there. And just to say, hey, some of this stuff might go away, but there's a niche product, a demand for it out there, and you can make it work, right? These guys have been around a long time, and every time I'm down on the coast, I would go in there, and they're busy as heck. There's people in there shopping, so it's a one of a kind. There's nothing else like it in the Lower Mainland. So I mean, they've got several million people right in their vicinity that are potential customers. And
nice.
You still got mostly games in there, by the way, or you're like 70-80% toys now?
No. I'm not selling used underwear like GameStop. I'm good.
I went into GameStop the other day, and I gave the girl like this rant, and I said, hey, it's not on you. I know this is a corporate thing, but I said, you really need to change your sign to friggin' Toy Stop.
Yeah,
I said, because this is ridiculous. I said, I walk in here and I'm like, where's the games? And all your new games are not even on the shelf. You have all the used ones. You hide the new ones in the little bins in the back, and there's just these one or two little sleeves. I'm thinking to myself, how many people though actually just buy the used copy because they don't even know a new one exists? Obviously stores like yours do thrive on the used marketplace, and that's cool. There's obviously a big spot for it, and there's nothing wrong with it. Now, my theory was always, if I can buy a new one for $5 less than the used one, I'm getting new all day, every day, because I want to make sure that I'm supporting, the publisher and hopefully the dev at some point, right?
Yeah.
But people on a budget, if you walk in the store, you see like, Modern Warfare 2, it's used and it's $30, and new it's like $80. Well, I think you'd have to be pretty like lame to not go for the $30 deal all day, every day.
Yeah.
I do it every time I'm in GameStop. Like I don't remember the last time I bought a new game on disc. I'll just go in and I look for stuff that's older. And, I really wish the store I had on the coast was here as well. Cause that man, Newf, you'd love that place. Like, you got an OG Xbox, you got an OG PlayStation. They've got games for it.
Dude,
and
I love
if
the
you
old
don't have
stores,
one,
period.
you can buy one there.
You know what I love and I hate is walking in and seeing all the old consoles that I used to own and almost all the games I used to own, and seeing how much they are on the resale and going, God damn, I used to have all that shit. Look how much it is now.
No kidding. Like, it's funny because this was the store I traded in my original Nintendo, like the NES, right?
Wow.
When I bought my Sega Genesis, I traded it in at that store. Like, it's quite nostalgic for me to go back in there, and then I see NES consoles sitting there, and they got the Sega. I still have my Sega Genesis, but they'll have them there, and they have games for them. and it's too cool. Like it's really neat. Definitely. If I could, do something different in life, it might have been something like that, instead of IT for 30
Shout
years.
out to Prey and Tony Grasso listening in the car. Glad you could join us. It is always good to see you. It's been a long time. Slendy, what's happened? Sir X, been good to see you here as well. We're going to get back on topic. We're kind of straying off, but just wanted to acknowledge Game Complainers. No, I'm the one who brought us here, so don't worry about that. I just wanted to acknowledge the man and applaud what he's doing, because I know that in today's day and age, it's harder and harder and harder to do what he's doing. And I'm fully aware that he's not getting rich off of doing this. It's more of a hobby, a labor of love on a hobby that he enjoys.
I'll tell you the truth.
And I admire him for it.
I've really made no money in 7 years.
If that, you're probably in the red as opposed to the black. Yeah.
In the red personally, but the money that comes in pays the rent, pays the lights and all that stuff. It just keeps the store going. Because I wasn't one of these delusional people that says, I got to call a distributor. I need 50 copies of Madden that aren't going to sell. I went in there because I have some retail experience. So I went in there thinking, okay, this is how we're going to do things. This is how it's going to go. And we'll see what happens. And it's fantastic. I have customers that come in. One guy will come in and blow $2,000 on stuff.
Love
it.
And, he gets a discount. I give him a little bit of discount. But, I mean, that's the kind of customers that I need. And that sets me up for a couple of months ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, the whole point is to build your clientele up, and one day maybe you'll make a few bucks.
Yeah.
But,
and you sound like you're there a bit, and you probably know what you're talking about. Because my biggest gripe with GameStop, outside of some of their corporate policies and changes, has always been the fact that they hire a lot of people that, one, are very biased toward one console or another. And unfortunately, in my area, it always seems to be 95% PlayStation bias. And they don't know their ass from a hole in the ground because they play video games. But I've caught them on so many occasions telling their customers completely the wrong bullshit. Right. And I'm like, fucking no wonder Microsoft can't sell a fucking console, because you guys don't know fucking nothing about what you're selling.
Well, that's what we talk about on my podcast, Game Complainerz, every Wednesday. We talk about, we try to give the proper information out there, where you hear all this stuff online. A lot of these guys, they do videos. They never go back and give you the correct information if something changes. It's just negative. Oh, I was wrong. Now I'm just going to make another video. Like, that kind of stuff really annoys me a little bit. We talk about that stuff, but I don't hire anybody. It's just me and my wife, and that's pretty much it. So, because I get emails like, oh, will you hire me? I know everything about games. It's like, okay, but what do you know about retail? I didn't beat half the games in the store. I'm sitting there all day. I'm beat this game, that game. But you got to know about retail. That's what's going to keep you in business. And I think if people have an education in that, then they can, do what they want to do, take their passion and apply it to what they've learned in the world. And that's how I've just been going. Like, it's over 7 years now. So
that's awesome.
Fabulous, man. We'll keep at it, brother. At least as long as you long as feasibly do it. You don't want to run yourself into a mental shithole, trying to run a store, but at the same time,
customers do drive me nuts. Like, you wouldn't believe half the stuff I've been through. But
you get some pretty it's not just staff. Sometimes you get some pretty nutty ass customers too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no doubt. But anyway, we should probably get into the tops. We're 40 minutes in. We haven't even got through this. I'm starting to feel like I'm on a different podcast all of a sudden. But let's real quick.
It's becoming everything you told me it wouldn't.
Right? Yeah, I get mental like, hey, when I'm starting this podcast, I'm going to do this, and this, and I don't think I've accomplished one damn thing on there. All right.
Good times.
So anyway, I want to talk about PlayStation State of Play. They just had it. I mean, obviously, a lot of PlayStation fans on our chat as well, and people that have PlayStation, me one of them. I love PlayStation. I'm excited for what they're showing. Definitely super excited for Spider-Man 2. It looks absolutely amazing. Every time I see it, it looks better and better and better. It is certainly one of the very few shining lights in their repertoire for this year. But they showed off some other cool stuff, and they showed off something really weird. I'm going to bring up in case you guys are a little joggy on the memory, I'm going to bring up the screen here so we can at least see the list. Yeah, the baby steps, exactly. That was one that I just about died at. I was like, what is this crap? I don't know if you guys saw it. The very first game they showed, it's called Baby Steps, with this drunk looking dude who walked really weird. He had a pair of ugly pajamas on, and he's trying to walk over boards and muck, and it looked absolutely And the lady comes on after this game showed, and she goes, "Yes, but the quality of our titles." And I'm thinking, what the fuck was that? What did we just watch?
Like, I know there's like the YouTube compression issues and stuff, right? So the graphics aren't going to look as good as they probably will
the
in
graphics,
real
the
life.
concept of the game, making a drunk guy walk across shit. That's really what it looked like. It was like
literally a walking simulator.
We used to talk about fucking Death Stranding as a walking simulator. They really went out and made one. Like, what the fuck?
No doubt. Oh, yeah. I was just like, what the hell is this? I was actually watching when it was on. I was watching what's his name, Marlon. You might be, the guy that was like, it's a wrap, that guy, right? Big PlayStation fan, right? He's come around a little bit to Xbox lately. He's, generally balanced, but he still has a pretty strong PlayStation bias, right? But he will stand up when Microsoft does something right. He will stand up and say, hey, this is really good. You guys got to quit hating on Xbox. They're doing some good things, right? But I was watching him, and he was all pumped and here we go, guys, 5 minutes, rubbing his hands together and, really just trying to, keep the hype level high. And then when that came on, he sits back. He's like, what is this? It was pretty funny. Just to see the reaction was pretty funny, but
right.
I mean, I was the same. I'm like, what the heck?
Like the first game you open up with, and it's a walking simulator of it, like some just like there's no context to the game other than it was like it almost reminds me, those early games back in the day when the devs were trying to test the physics engines, like see how this thing works or how it reacts. Remember the old when ragdoll physics were the thing? That's kind of what it reminded me of. It was like. This is kind of like the latest version of the ragdoll physics, trying to make a dumb guy walk and then make it interesting. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
We got a super chat real quick. It comes in via Sir X-Man.
Crazy.
He's referring to the Starfield. Go ahead, Mental. You can read that one.
Charging my Elite controller too much on Starfield.
Yes, I bet you are.
I had my Elite controller die for the first time where I was like, oh, crap. Like, what the... Yeah. I can relate. I do use my controller whenever I get into space. I'm using the controller. So,
comment of the night to Dreadpool, Man Baby, the game modeled after 40-year-old fanboys living in mommy's basement. That's probably exactly what it's like. He even had the fucking man boy pajamas on too. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, his onesie.
At least they made him realistic. Like he actually looked like a 40-year-old like basement dweller, didn't he? He had like the gut
he
was
did,
all chunky and it wasn't like some stereotypical muscle dude. Yeah. Oh man, like I could do a whole show talking about that game. But outside of that, we did have some really cool stuff showing off here. Obviously, Roblox, I guess, is finally coming to PlayStation, which I always thought it was on PlayStation, but I guess it's not. But we'll move along. Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord. Good to see some more PSVR 2 stuff coming because it's been kind of dry. Plus the Resident Evil 4 VR mode, which absolutely looks insane. Oh my god! Any of you guys care for the VR side of things, or you think this VR is dead in the water? Do you sell VR at your store, Complainers?
I can't afford that, man. I can't even afford to buy one. if they drop the price, I'll definitely grab it for Resident Evil. I'm a big Resident Evil guy.
Yeah, that looks amazing, right?
Yeah, it does.
I loved RE4. I mean, the last 2 and 3 and 4, the remakes, 7 and 8, loved them both as well. I'm definitely a fan. It would be an interesting play, I think, doing it in VR. I'm not a VR guy either, so I know you're a big fan of it, Noof, and I'm happy for you that this stuff is coming. Yep. Maybe one day. I'm in the camp that thinks it's just overpriced. Mm-hmm. When I look at the technology that goes into it, it seems like a cash grab and peripherals to me. So.
You know what keeps me from playing VR more right now, to be honest, than anything, is the fact that playing it in the summertime in my house, it's so sweaty. Right? Yeah. It's super sweaty. Like, and I only play so long because one, the controllers are going to die before you actually get like anywhere in a major game. You have to recharge them again, and two, it's sweaty. Like the fucking headset is light. It's a phenomenal piece of gear, but in the summertime, there's just too much heat and humidity, and I just find it hard to play. I just get so super sweaty. And I'm just like, yeah, this is not for me. I can't sit here and just like feel like dog shit, like I got to take this out. I'll play in the wintertime when it's a lot colder. And it's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. crack the window a bit, have that -40 temp air coming in, and feeling pretty good about it at the same time.
Absolutely. Sit outside in Alberta winters and play the fucking thing.
Yeah. We didn't have AC when we first moved here, and I was just being on the top floor with having to work. I was dying.
Oh man!
So I was pretty happy when the AC was installed. That's for sure.
Jesus, mental! This VR is so real. I'm outside and my balls are freezing.
Yeah. Well, frostbite's a thing in Starfield. Planet I'm on right now is a bit of a problem in that regard. So,
yeah. Any thoughts on that, Complainers?
Like I said, I'll get the VR too. Hopefully, when it drops in price at some point. I really do want to play Resident Evil on it.
Yeah.
Besides that, I just wish that they would make Jumping Flash VR, but that's just me.
Next couple of games showed off. Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora. Been a while since we've seen anything significant on that game. It's coming out on December the 7th. I thought it looked pretty good, but honestly, to me, it's one of those games I'd pick up, but I don't think I'd rush to the store day one to get it. You know what I mean? And then it was Ghost Runner 2 showed off after that, which I really hated the first Ghost Runner. I thought it was annoyingly stupid. So how do you guys feel about those two games?
Ghost Runner, not really a fan. Avatar, I agree. It looked interesting. I'm curious to know what I don't think I've got a feel for what it's actually about in the game. I don't know if it's supposed to be following the movies or what the deal is. I didn't finish watching the first Avatar. It was just a little long for me. I think we got about 2.5 hours.
I think the story is loosely based around the new one. Different characters, okay. I think. And it looks like the one interesting thing, it looks like you can play from the first person or the third person, or it switches back and forth.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see. If it ends up in PlayStation Plus, maybe I'll play it then. I don't see me really buying it, but you never know. If the reviews are outstanding and it's super good, I might be tempted to pick it up too. Assuming I'm done with Starfield.
Right? We're going to be playing Starfield for the next while. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
How about you, Game Complainerz? The Avatar or Ghost Riders? Anything that interests you on those two?
The Avatar, I never really saw the movie. I know I'm like the only one that probably never watched it, but the game looks pretty good graphically. I don't know how it's going to play. Like Mental said, I don't know what kind of game it is. If it is something, I'll check it out. The Ghost, what is it? Ghost Rider or Ghost Hunter? What is it called?
I feel like it's Assassin's Creed with blue alien people.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That was the vibe I'm getting.
And the other game, the Ghost Hunter game, I think I played the demo of the first one. It was okay. I didn't really get stuck with it,
Yeah, that Ghost Runner, the original game that I played a little bit of it, and it reminded me of that Mirror's Edge game. Kind of was like that combined with Super Hot and something else. Like if you combine a couple together, and it was all about basically making a run through a level flawlessly. So everything was kind of scripted in a way. I don't know. I was hoping for more. I was hoping for more of a traditional shooter with parkour kind of movements, not about like running through a level and if you missed an enemy and he shot you at all, that was it. You were dead. It was like one shot and you were fucked up and you had to go and do it again. That to me was just like, I'm back in the 80s again, but one bullet kills everything. Great.
Yeah. Yeah, I messed with it a bit. I think I got it for free if I remember right on GOG, but it just didn't grab me.
Yeah,
that's for sure. So I don't see me being interested in the second one.
Next two, maybe a little bigger on the docket, Helldivers 2 and Marvel Spider-Man 2. Obviously show off a bit more gameplay. Certainly an elevated level of detail to the city of New York, and some different district is in there as well. And a lot of suits, a lot of homages to all the Spider-Man stuff, from the movies to the comic books and everything else. So where's your hype meter on those two games, Helldivers 2 and Spider-Man 2?
Well, Helldivers, I never played the first one.
It
looks interesting. Maybe it's a good shooter for the PlayStation platform. Like I say, never played the first one, but I'll definitely I'll be checking it out as it gets closer to release. And Spider-Man, I mean, it looks really good, I think. I've heard people complaining about this, that, and the other thing, and what did they use? Copy and pasted for the textures on these buildings and stuff like that, right? And it's just, it's fanboy like console wars type nonsense, right? I'll be playing it. I mean, I bought the stupid console, right? Hence the card. So, that was part of the deal with it, right? I'm looking forward to it. I enjoyed the first Spider-Man, which is funny because I tried to play it. Like, I bought it on PS4. I tried to play it. Like, I think I restarted the game 3 or 4 times. Could never get into it. As soon as I got it on PC, though, it played so much better, right? The high frame rate and everything. It just felt so much better for that kind of game. I got into it and I was hooked right away. Enjoyed it, had a lot of fun with it. It was good times. I got to get in and play Miles Morales. That was one of my backlog games I wanted to get done before I got into really Starfield.
It was good, yeah.
But I'll get in there eventually and I'll get Miles done, and then I'll play Spider-Man 2.
Sounds like you're excited about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, no, it looks good, man. I'm pumped for it. It should be good.
GC, aka Perry.
Yeah.
You excited for it?
For Spider-Man 2, absolutely. Like Mental bought the console. I have the console, and I opened one for an unboxing video, and then I have another one downstairs sealed. I don't even know what I'm going to do with it.
Oh, damn.
I'm going to put it somewhere.
Right on.
I'm waiting for that game for sure. Helldivers, I'd never played the first one. It looks decent. Maybe I'll check it out on PC instead of PlayStation. I don't know. I think they're launching the same day and date for PC and PlayStation. I think they said that the multiplayer games are going to launch day and date. So maybe I'll check it out there and see what's going on. But yeah, Spider-Man's like the game that I'm waiting for sure.
Yeah, it was stole the show. I mean, everybody now is eagerly awaiting the game. The promotions are ramping up. Like I said, they knocked it out of the park with the custom console, and the controller looks awesome.
Yeah.
We obviously know it's in New York, but I mean, the thing is, I don't know, like for me, the excited for the game is like, it's going to be tough to top the old ones, because I thought, like, literally Spider-Man and Miles Morales are literally 2 of the best Spider-Man games we've ever played. Both graphically, physically, like they really nailed it. Like everything that the Activision's games strived to be back in the day, and I feel bad for Beanox and other people that actually did some decent Spider-Man stuff, but they were always tied into licenses, and they had to push their games out faster, and they had to time in with the movie or time into this, that, and something else, which is always very constrictive. Luxury that Insomniac had was they could write their own story. They put their own take on Spider-Man's iconic suit. They did a lot of different things, but obviously Insomniac and Naughty Dog are right up there in tops of, what made Spider-Man the universe look good too is the fluidity of the gameplay and the mechanics. The facial animations, the characters were like second to none. They're still better than most of the games we'll ever see right now today. They certainly make Starfield stuff look like fucking it's coming out of like 2 eras ago. That sort of stuff. No offense to Starfield. I mean, it's adequate, but still, Bethesda face is very common, and certainly not. Some characters look amazing. Some characters, what the fuck am I looking at? So, but yeah. Anyway, it must be lack of gravity in space makes your eyeballs bigger and your face look very flat. But yeah, it sounds like everybody's pretty excited about it. I mean, I just, obviously for them, it's just, they got to go bigger, right? It's hard to make it better. They just got to go bigger, more of everything, and great villains. Obviously, we got Venom in this one, which is going to make things extremely exciting. Always a great character, and that probably means Carnage is probably going to show up in here somewhere too. So we'd be surprised. I know Lizard's in there. They're keeping that pretty well under wraps, right? So.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time for sure. Yeah, I did a lot of screenshots in Spider-Man, sitting on top of buildings and stuff. Wasted more time than I care to admit taking screenshots. So yeah, it's a good looking game if I'm doing that type of stuff. So a lot of fun.
Yeah, and here was one that a lot of us poked fun of, and rightly so, a few months ago when this one was released, called Foam Stars.
They needed another look at that one. Like,
By the way, I don't know about Helldivers, but I was pretty interested in Muff Divers, but we never seen it.
Oh man,
yeah, Foam Stars. I don't know.
Stars. Oh, the
I'm
Game
about
Complainerz down there is just super excited. I can see him already. He's already got his foam kits ready.
Yeah, no, it's not happening.
yeah.
Well, just curious, has anybody
Yeah.
here liked or played or owned and bought all the Splatoons? Just curious.
I own. I don't think we bought Splatoon 3 because it came out too close to 2, and I was like, "What's the point?"
Right.
Like Nintendo just gave up support on 2 out of nowhere and just made 3. Usually 3 would like launch with the new Switch, but why they just out of nowhere said, "Yeah, 2 is done after like a year and a half. Here's 3," and we're like, "Why?" So I never really played 2 that much anyway, but it was a good game. It was okay. It was fun, but this Foam Stars thing. I don't know, man. I think it's just a cash grab, and they're just stealing Nintendo's ideas.
Yeah, there's obviously heavily influenced by Splatoon, and
Yeah.
I mean, rightfully so to some degree. I mean, obviously Sony right now, I mean, is chomping at the bit to find something that sticks, right?
Yeah.
They've been doing great single player stuff, narrative story based stuff for years, and definitely killing it in that area. It's the one area that Microsoft's still been struggling to get down. But they're taking a kick at the cat at the multiplayer, and they're obviously going off of something that's family friendly, is going to appeal to a wider audience. But honestly, it's just one of those games that I don't think is broad enough, and I think the PlayStation audience is a little bit different than Nintendo's audience, and I don't think Foam Stars is going to stick. It's going to come out and be a lot like that other one they launched. I think it's going to come out and do much the same. We hot for a week and then dead thereafter. What was that game? Destruction All Stars or whatever when the PS5 launched?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were hoping that was going to be the next best thing, and that came out and died. That was on life support before the first week was over, I think. I was like,
This is where I think Sony makes the mistake. For multiplayer games, they got to go back to the past. You got to bring out SOCOM, make a new Twisted Metal, a new Warhawk, do something like take those old IPs, make them into online franchises. Because, like you said, it's a different audience, like teenagers to adults.
Yeah.
They remember those games. They're going to pay. They're going to pay to play those games online.
Yeah, and instead they're remastering games that really just don't need it, right? Like, Last of Us 2 apparently is getting done, right? I think we talked about that a few weeks back,
if you go back to the PS3, the Uncharted multiplayer was actually fairly popular for a while. The problem was, when Uncharted multiplayer was hitting its high, the infrastructure for PlayStation, and certainly for the multiplayer, like it just kind of came out at the wrong time and it got lost in the shuffle. But it wasn't like they didn't hit some of the right notes. It was just even Uncharted 4's multiplayer was pretty damn good. I played quite a bit of that and had a lot of fun with it. So they need to get back to doing that. You said Factions is supposed to come out, but like we're all like, where the hell is it? You guys announced this, believe it or not, when The Last of Us Part 2 came out. That was supposed to be actually when the game launched. Then it got delayed. It's been delayed how many times now? And we still haven't seen it. What was The Last of Us 2? 2020?
Yeah, I think it was early 2020.
It was before
COVID,
it was
right?
before PS5.
So
it got delayed a little bit.
Like, so where the hell is the Factions? And apparently I heard like they had to make some major issues and they got, is it Bungie or somebody coming in? Something like that?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah. Bungie, I think, well, the rumor was Bungie said, you can't release this like this.
The fact we haven't even seen a glimpse of it yet is disturbing. I mean, and you're 4 years along and they're not even like, hey, we're getting close. They're just like, yeah, it's somewhere.
Yeah, that is a little bizarre. I mean, if you think about this, right? Like I've seen, people saying, "Oh, Sony's got nothing," and this and that. Oh, doom and gloom for Sony, right? I mean, not gonna lie, you watch a show like that. I mean, their last State of Play kind of sucked. This State of Play kind of sucked. You got Spider-Man is the highlight of the show, other than third-party stuff. Like they had Final Fantasy, the remake, their 7 Part 2, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Rebirth,
Yeah, Rebirth. There you go. But if you think about this logically, right? We're in a position with Sony, and apologize if you can hear my kids making noise in the background. But we're in a state with Sony now that Microsoft was in, right? They went out and bought all these studios in 2018, most of which had just released games, and you got 5 to 6 year development cycles now. Well, what's happened in the last couple of years, right? Sony kind of blew their load. And now they're sitting there going, oh, crap. Like, all these studios have just dumped stuff, and they're not all magic like Insomniac. Like, not every studio can crank out bangers every 2 years. Most of them are going to take time. So Sony's going to be in a bit of a lull from their heavy hitters now for probably another 2 years. So don't be surprised if you're not seeing the next big, walking simulator. Joking. But, that the reality is
baby steps.
Yeah. The reality is they are going to have to rely on third parties. I mean, that's the nature of the beast now. These games take a long time to build and produce. They're expensive and it takes time. And Sony's in that situation now where they're going to have a bit of a lull before their storm comes in again. And when they start, hitting them, they need more studios too. That's the reality. If they want to keep dropping big, heavy hitting games every year, they need more studios to do that. And
speaking of heavy hitting games, the last game showed off on this show was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Obviously, the second episode to the popular Final Fantasy VII Episode 1 at the time. And based on some of the information that we're currently hearing, it's certainly in low of the money that Square Enix is bleeding right now. I think about $2 billion. Is it $2 billion or something like that?
Yes.
That's pretty staggering. So they may have to reconsider their business strategy moving forward. Obviously, Final Fantasy, while still big, is not the system seller and certainly not their saving grace like it used to be. Now, mind you, I think that's probably one of the few bright spots on their agenda. They've had a lot of misses. Right up there with that one or two hits. That's the problem. Yeah. They had a lot of stuff that came out. They spent a lot of money that never did them big dollars. And it kind of started with that spiral of the Avengers game.
Yeah.
Back with who was it? Crystal Dynamics did that. And then there was a few other ones. And I think if I'm correct, don't strike me wrong. Wasn't Outriders, wasn't that a Square Enix game as well?
Yes. It was, yeah.
And that kind of came out strong and fizzled quickly. And that's another problem. A lot of their games. A lot of the games require online only. They're kind of the games that can only thrive if they have a persistent base of players. So so there you go. Right. So they're banking on Final Fantasy to bring it in, and they just might have to start considering putting some more stuff on Xbox.
I think they are, right. I mean, the fact that Phil's walking out on stage with them and they're all buddy now, and you see the exclusivity term on this game is only 3 months, right? And that's a huge change right there. I think they realized they made some big mistakes, and replacing the leadership is usually a good indicator that the shareholders aren't happy, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to change and keep up with the times, and signing exclusivity deals for, even if it's nice to get that bag of cash, it's often not enough in this day and age when you have these huge budgets that, are required in order to make these big blockbuster games. You need to get the money back, and you need to make good bank on them so that you can go forward with your next project. And putting your games in more places is how you do that. Locking it to a single platform, especially this early in a generation where at the time, you see a lot of their failures where they did lock it to Sony's platform or whatever else. And you see it with other developers too. There's just not enough consoles out there, especially if it's PlayStation 5 only. Sure, they've got, 40 or 50 million sold, but that's still less than half of what the PS4s that are out there, right? Yeah. And when you're going new gen only, if 10% of your players are people that buy the game, that's still, you're very limited compared to what you would be normally. That's reality.
So overall, it sounds like from all the games we mentioned and brought out here, there might be maybe 2, if not 3, that anybody's really excited about.
Yeah,
me personally, outside of Spider-Man, like I did have the first Final Fantasy VII, and I can't say that I'm super excited about Rebirth right now. Like, it's a game that I might definitely try out, but I wouldn't put it up there as high on my radar. So outside of Spider-Man's the only must get, and outside of that, I mean, the Ghostbusters on the VR, I'd like to try it, but it's not something I'd rush out and drop $50 off right off the hop. You know what I mean? And that's another problem right now with VR too. Like if you go to the PlayStation VR stores, a lot of their games are still like fairly pricey. Yep. And if you go over then and play, a lot of these same versions are on Meta, and they're discounted and cheaper. That's a problem. Like, if you're not going to bring out a lot of games, at least make the ones you got there a little more reasonably priced, so more people can try them and play them and spread the word. Because right now, up here in Canada, most of these are $50 or $60 entry points on a VR game, right? that's just too high.
Yeah.
So some of these games got to come down, and if they don't do a readjustment on the PSVR too soon, and this thing doesn't pick up a little momentum, I'm telling you, like they whatever they had going for the original PSVR, they fucking screwed it over on this one. I think like they have not promoted this well at all.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And now and they need to ramp it up, because now there's actually PlayStation 5s in stores. Whereas when PSVR first come out, they were still freaking hard to get a console. So people are like, oh, we can get a VR, but we can't find a console to play it on. Now they got the rolls reversed, but it's just like, oh, I know. And I'm walking into stores and I'm just seeing these VR units just sitting there. Like they're not sold out or nothing. You know
how they could fix that? Make them work on PC. And those VR units would start selling like crazy. Right?
True. Yeah.
It's a huge marketing opportunity that they're just turning their nose up at, and for all the wrong reasons. They want to make their brand, and then they got to maintain some kind of compatibility. Not having compatibility with VR1 was stupid.
Yes.
Right. So many people went out and invested in that. Games scale. You can do some things that would allow that first gen VR headset to work perfectly fine with the newer games. They're not going to look as good, whatever. But at least you've got an audience there. What did they sell? A couple million of those? You want VR to be profitable. You can't expect people to go out and drop $700-800 on a new headset every time you come out with a new idea. It's just the stupid mentality. It's the same thing with backwards compatibility with games on the console itself, right? You can't walk away from 120 million people that bought PS4s, especially when you've got a shortage of consoles to start with, right? The same thing with VR or any accessories. That's the best thing Microsoft ever did, is that all of my old controllers work with my Series X too.
And that's one of the things that bugs me so much with these companies, is that you'd think after their numerous failures, and they've all had them, whether it's Nintendo and Xbox and PlayStation, that by now they would have learned their lesson. Lesson one: you launch something, you got to find the right price point. So that means you have to be able to take the hit, even if it means selling it a little bit less the cost to make it attractive. Two, you got to have killer apps, killer games. If you don't launch with one of your best lineups ever, people are going to do a wait and see attitude, and wait and see often turns into a wait and never see. People just by the time they decide they want software for the device, the ship has passed. You're almost on to the next gen, and people are just like, who wants that anyway?
Yep.
And then you got to market it. It's got to be everywhere. People have to know it exists, how easy it is to play. And a lot of these VR things too, there's nobody even tell them how to set it up. Like when I remember the PSVR, the first one came out, I remember my local GameStops, aka EB Games at the time, they had Sony reps going out and literally demoing the PSVRs in the stores. I never saw any of that for PSVR 2. They just assumed that everybody knows how this works. I bet you the majority of people don't even realize that this PSVR 2 only has one cord. It doesn't have all of those 50,000 boxes to hook up to the television set, which absolutely drove everybody asinine with the first unit. Not to mention the dildo sticks, which were hit and miss, didn't work half the time. Like, what the fuck? Like there's all of these things, and you think these multi-million-dollar companies with their big marketing teams and their genius people behind them, how the fuck do you keep screwing up the same shit? And then they released this stupid, this PlayStation Portal?
Yeah.
Which makes no fucking sense. No sense at all. What does it do? Why even launch it? All they had to do was take all the unsold PS Vitas, fucking revamp them, resell them as a PS Vita 2, and there you go. You would have had a portable handheld you could actually take anywhere and play games on. I don't want to play a portable that I can only take to the bedroom. What is this, a shitter box? I'm going to bring it to the toilet and play a fucking PlayStation. You want to take it a dump? I can do that on my phone. I don't need to drag around this big old, it's got a PlayStation on it. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
They're making some really weird choices with the way they're doing things. And there's I don't know. It's breaking that mindset, this old school mindset of everything has to be exclusive and, we can't release things day and date. The day and date thing, I still think their games will make it to day and date on PC. It's going to happen eventually. There's so many positives to that. One marketing push, right? You want to get full price for your games. Make the most of the marketing push. I mean, Sony, if nothing else, they're great at marketing their games. Like, that's the reality. They're very, very good at it, and they spend millions of dollars doing it. If you want to get the best return on that, you release it everywhere at the same time. You're going to sell way more games on PC as a result, right?
Is there any truth? Is there any truth to that,
Yeah.
Perry?
Yeah.
No truth to it whatsoever.
It's like, I will take your headset, but those fucking controllers, you can stay clear.
You can keep them. Yeah, it's I don't know. Sony confuses me. They confuse me.
I don't get it. This company that does so many right things and then can screw up some of the most basic principles of stuff. You're just like, haven't you guys been through this before? Why are we back here again? Right?
Yeah.
You know, and every device that's ever failed hasn't because the devices haven't been justifiably decent. It's always failed because of the way they promote it.
Yes.
Right? It's always usually that. Now there are some that were pretty bad. Let's take the Nintendo VR back in the day. What was it, the Virtual Boy?
Yeah.
There's no matter how you could spin that was bad.
Yeah.
You couldn't take it anywhere. The thing was just fucking big. You had to stick your head in. All you could see was red screen. Apparently made everybody's eyesight fucked up. You know. I bet you kids that grew up on the Virtual Boy are probably still seeing shit like the Terminator. They're like, right?
Yeah.
You know, so I can see why that failed, because coming off the Game Boy and then you make that hideous contraption, you know, yeah.
Well, even the Vita, like, it was a decent device.
Fuck, it was amazing.
But, you know, they go and do something dumb like proprietary memory for it that they charged a fortune for. And I know people, like, I almost bought one. I came really close to buying one, but then I found out they were axing it. So I didn't buy one.
God, the original Vita, the OLED version, was so good.
Yeah.
The touch panel on the back, I mean, playing Uncharted on that, which looked just like a PS4 game at the time, I was like, my God, this shit's awesome. It was like, so much potential, and that was their biggest flaw, because they had the ability and potential to really bring that to sky high record, and it was selling pretty good in Japan. It was just over here, and that's because by the time the Vita was starting to take off, I think all the Game Boys are just huge, and then the cell phone market got big. That's what happened. They didn't want to compete with it.
Mm-hmm. And think of the potential for longevity, right? It could be that remote gaming device for a PS5.
Yeah, it could have been.
You know, why not? You know, people that have it, why not enable stuff? Like, it just, all this stuff seems like no-brainers, but yet their big brains over there don't seem to think about it. Right?
I would have brought it.
They're not thinking like a consumer. They're thinking like an executive at a company that wants to milk consumers.
I would have brought that thing back, made it backwards compatible, so it would play the original PlayStation Vita games, right? So essentially Vita 2, maybe beefed it up a little bit so it could stream and run all of the PlayStation 5 shit. So you could take it on the go. It would still have a memory card, you know, give you all that great stuff. And then it would probably be a lot cheaper than normal, because, I mean, obviously the tech had been gone down in price, and they could have sold that, and it would have been just a no-brainer, you know?
Yeah, they don't need an SSD in it. You can get flash memory cards, like the micro SDs. Now you can get 1 terabyte cards, and they're actually reasonably fast. Drop one in, make it play games locally. Like, it wouldn't have cost them that much more. I mean, the prices they pay for these interfaces, it's pennies. And the chips that they buy cost them pennies, right? It's not, I don't know. I don't get it. You know, for $200, what's the thing do for you? Really? What does it do for you that you can't do with a Kishi attached to your cell phone? It's such a stupid device. I really just don't get what they were thinking with it.
No, to
I don't
me,
know.
it makes no sense either.
You know, you got guys like Marlon, I'll bring him up again. You know, a really nice guy. Like, I'm not slagging him or anything, but, you know, oh yeah, I got it pre-ordered. Why?
I just go up in my bedroom and stick my phone on the controller for my Xbox and play games through my Xbox Cloud.
Exactly. Like, and the fact that it's not cloud enabled. Like, again, another big fail. You know, if I could play the PS, you know, Plus games on it and stream them from the cloud, well, then it starts to make a little bit more sense, right? Because now I got this huge library available to me that, you know, I'm paying for monthly and not using. I'm more likely to play it on the go. I don't know. It's a bizarre device that makes no sense in this world today.
Yeah. Now, eventually they're going to come up with a backpack so you could tote your PS5 around. So then you could basically just
backpack with a big
it'll be a backpack
battery
to
on
store
a
your
trolley
PS5,
that you drag
and there's a
around with
battery
you.
inside that just so you can stream on the little portable, right? Well, honestly, with the stupid ideas we see today, that would not fucking surprise me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, you'd be like
PlayStation
a
wagon.
Yeah.
That you just, you attach your PS5 to the wagon. It's got a big battery pack on it. You drag it around with you, holding your handheld, playing off it.
Woo! Look at this handheld. It's awesome. I got to drag half of my house with me to play it, but it's good.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Anyway, now off topic, but what a great topic we're on.
Good times.
Real quick, I guess we'll move back past the PlayStation State of Play. It wasn't all that good, bottom line. Some interesting stuff, but it certainly didn't light a fire under anyone's ass coming into the fall. Spider-Man, I guess, is self-sufficient, but honestly, we'd hoped for a little bit more. In the meantime, let's talk about, obviously, just back to the Starfield. Apparently, it's selling really big in Europe, and this isn't even including the Game Pass numbers. Is anybody shocked by that at all? Are people really going out and supporting this game? And it seems like for the most part, people are.
Yeah, I mean, it's been taking a bit of a beating on the Metacritic lately. A bunch of low reviews showing up now.
Yeah, of course.
Who cares? That seems, again, it's just fanboy nonsense, fanboy fodder, right? Like, who cares? It's a great game. It's fun. Anyone that just goes into it, open-minded enough to not and set aside their preference of whatever plastic box you play on, it's hard to deny it's a pretty darn good game. Oh, there's empty planets. Well, yeah. What do you expect, right?
Yeah,
there are going to be empty planets. That's just the reality of the universe we live in. But there's also a crap.
Apparently, there's a lot of empty. There's a lot of empty brains in the PlayStation community too, because apparently you're supposed to be able to land on gas planets.
This is true. And I still don't understand why I can't do that.
I can't land on a gas planet.
I just want to explore.
That's like saying your fart should be able to carry your dinner tray across to the next side of the room.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. I don't get the hate in. It doesn't make any sense. And, I'm a fan of the game, so I'm a bit biased in that regard. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. Everybody I know personally that's playing it is enjoying the heck out of it.
Yeah. Sure.
Now, admittedly, I don't have a lot of friends because I don't usually like people, but, it's the people that I do like and that I actually associate with are loving the game. So, is what it is, right? I'll shut up. You guys go ahead. I've been talking too much.
Let's get to the super chat. Came in earlier from our good friend Sir X-Men, who's dropped 2 super chats tonight. Thank you, Sir X-Men. You were amazing. Go ahead. Read that up, Mental.
Who's getting the new Atari 2600? I am. Can't wait.
I'm not quite sure what he was referring to there, but like Back to the Future, Atari 2600.
They have a new Atari 2600 coming out with an HDMI port. And it will read the actual cartridges.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. I pre-ordered that on Amazon.
Maybe that's what he was referring to. There is a perfect example of a company that has its head in its ass and has no clue what's going on. I mean, how the hell can you come back like from 2 or 3 times and fail the same way and still come out and bring out the VCS and fucking it tanked immediately? It's like, guys.
Yeah.
Did you not learn anything from your Jaguar experience and everything else that you failed at in the last 30 years? Do you guys have complete morons running your company? Like, God, what is going on? Fans are not supporting us. Well, no shit, because it's overpriced and nobody even knows the shit exists. So
yeah, I found out on Amazon. I didn't even know. I think Wario64 tweeted it out or something.
What about the VCS or the new 2600?
Oh, the new one, the new 2600.
See, there you go. If we don't know,
I saw it by
accident. Don't know.
But I don't know a lot about it. Like, are they doing something different with the joysticks? Like, what do the joysticks look like? Is it the same old school?
I think it's the same joysticks. They might have changed the inside, but I hope
so.
I guess I'll find out when I get it.
They got a big knob.
Anyone else here have the joystick break, so you take it apart and you're just pressing the pad buttons on the PCB. I don't know.
Oh, they've come in broken all the time.
Yeah, like that's what we used to do as kids.
They've
We're
added
like,
a big
where's
knob
the
to the end, so if
screwdriver?
you don't enjoy the game, at least your wife can enjoy the controller.
Yeah, man. Things have come a long way since the old one-button joystick, but yeah. It was a fun system,
games.
that's for sure.
I can't go back that far. I can barely handle 8-bit anymore. There's a handful of games I can even tolerate. The rest are like, oh my god, these games are so fucking bad. It's so fucking bad. Like if you literally go back and play most of the 8 and 16-bit games that we used to swear that we loved, and we actually finished somehow because we must have been insane back in those days, and you play them again now, you're like, God, these games wouldn't even make the indie fucking top list today. They're so bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
It's true. Way more than we think.
True.
Yep.
It is true.
We thought they were all great because back then that's all we had. There wasn't magazines and reviews and shit to tell you. Maybe it's an odd demo that you got to try, but if you went back, like you go through a lot of these collections now and you go down through and you start playing them, and the first thing I go is like, God, this game is so much worse than I remember. I used to love this shit, and you're playing it. It's like, yeah, it looks the same, plays the same, but I fucking hate it. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Because we've changed, games have changed, and a lot of those games simply were ass. And we played the shit out of them because they were fucking expensive. And your mom probably had to buy them for us back then because I know mine certainly did. And they weren't buying you a game every second week. It was like, yeah, you better finish this one, you little fucker, before I buy you another one.
Exactly. And then you would have to buy a game based on the cover art. And it's like, oh, there's a cool guy in there, and it's a crappy game.
Right?
Yeah. I had to save my allowance, man. My parents didn't. For my consoles, anything that I got as a kid, I had to save my allowance and or work for it. And it was my parents were not into video games at all. That was
the first game I had on my Sega Genesis outside of Altered Beast was Last Battle. Anybody remember that one? Last Battle? Fucking dude. It was kind of like Altered Beast. The guy fucking got bigger and bigger, and then he'd go like this with his hand. It would go up and down when you're punching shit. And you just kind of walk left to right. And it was just so generic. And I'm like, yeah, it looked cool, but the game sucked, And then I thought it was the best game since sliced bread. Now I went back and played it today. I'm like, oh my God, this game's horrible.
Yeah.
Apparently it was a Fist of the North Star game, but I didn't know that until years later because I didn't even know what the hell Fist of the North Star was. But
yeah, I'm a bit of a graphics snob. Like I have a hard time going back and playing old games or even new games that look old. I have a hard time with that, but I've played the odd one. I'm not going to lie. It's but I do tend to like. There's got to be a visual appeal there too for me, I guess. Is
like Cuphead. Cuphead is hard as hell, but I love the shit out of that game. I think it's amazing. Super tight. It's super awesome, and like that's like a 2D version of a Dark Souls game. Like it challenges the fuck out of you. You got to get the timing down. You got to understand the levels, and it's one of those games you got to play, and you got to play it a lot to get good at it, and you slowly progress, and you're like, yeah, but it is hard as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be easier
with
2 players,
for
but
that anymore at my age. I'm just too old for that stuff these days, but I don't have enough time to play. So if it takes me too much time to get good at it, I tend to move on. But then again, I've always been more of a first person shooter kind of guy. And those games, it feels like a comfy old glove when I, jump into one of them. I can usually get it figured out pretty quick and I'm rocking and rolling, as they would say.
Rocking and rolling. All right. Cool, man. I never did kind of ask you, Game Complainerz, what sort of is like? I mean, you obviously a multi-console owner, and it sounds like you've been around the block like we have. But what is kind of your console of choice? So what do you normally gravitate to?
I play everything. Like I'm not like a fanboy or anything. I prefer Xbox right now because I have the dashboard and stuff. I'm more in that ecosystem. PlayStation. Yeah. I think the problem with PlayStation is this. PlayStation 3 came out. Everyone was on 360.
Mm-hmm.
So they took those PlayStation 3 games, put them on 4 because everyone grabbed the 4. And they were like, these are great. These are awesome, whatever. They seem to be doing that again, in my opinion. They're taking 3 games and putting them on 5. And I'm like, and I know they moved on a little bit with Horizon and stuff like that. And I'm like, can we move on a little bit or go back a little bit further than the 3?
Yeah.
Because I love PS1 and PS2. Like, those are great.
Yeah. That era of PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn is one of the eras that they should remake a lot of games,
Sega
because
Saturn. I love Sega
they
Saturn.
had amazing games with great storylines, but unfortunately the tech just couldn't help the games really lived up to their potential. If you think of how many of those great games, if you thought about them today with modern controls and modern graphics, like you'll take GoldenEye, for example, N64. It was a groundbreaking game back in 2006, I think it was when it came out, or was it 1996, right?
Yeah.
But you play it today, and like I'm playing it on Xbox, and yeah, they've updated it with the modern controls, and that's fantastic. But you still see how it's aged, and it's like, God, like it was great, but obviously it was great for 20 odd years ago. It's not so great today, but you had the potential. Now, if you see, and there was a remastered one, or there was an actual. Remember, there was a GoldenEye that came out, I think, on PS3 that was remade, and it was actually made with. They took Pierce Brosnan and actually replaced it with Daniel Craig, which was weird. But they made it, and it was amazing. Like it was the GoldenEye kind of you knew and loved or wanted, but never knew you needed and wanted. And a lot of people just dismissed it because it wasn't a faithful recreation, but it was actually a much better game in almost each and every way. It was kind of sad that it just didn't gain traction, right? So,
well, Xbox has that GoldenEye they never released for Xbox Live, and I think had they released that version on the Series X, I think everything would have been cool. And I think people were expecting that version because people put videos out for years. And everyone's like, oh, Microsoft's going to release this one. And they released a bitch slap port of the N64 version. And it's like, oh, all right, like party's over. Like we're not doing this right now. And no online play killed it on Xbox.
Yeah.
So that was just like the final nail in the coffin. But if anybody has a Hack 360, grab that game. That game that never came out because it's out there. And it's really good. Me and my friends play it all the time.
There you go.
We get together.
Awesome. But no, that was the era when games were just starting to test the. Well, we're seeing one. We're seeing a new Tomb Raider. The 1, 2, and 3 are getting remastered, and that's great. I like what they're doing with it. My question is, will they give it modern day controls? Because I don't think I can go back with the old 8-way D-pad and make Lara Croft do the old 2-pad step. I don't know how many times I died more from jumps than anything else in Tomb Raider, because you could never make a fucking jump unless you had her line up just so. And of course, with that 8-way directional D-pad and the screen would move like this, she had to do her whole shimmy shuffle. You guys remember, right? You're like, oh my God. But back then I played the first one on the Sega Saturn when it came out, and it was amazing. I was like, God, this game is the coolest shit ever. But then it's like, you play it like 20 years later and you're like, oh my God, this game is so bad.
See, I played it on PC back in the day. I was already PC gaming way back then, and it played, really good for what it was in those days. I enjoyed it. It was a fun game for sure.
Now, what blew me away was Mario 64 when it had the first real true 3-directional analog stick control, and the way Mario handled it. I went, wow, now this is what we're talking about. That was amazing.
Yeah, I never actually owned a Nintendo 64, but again, from my perspective, I was a PC guy, right? And I'd been playing 3D like shooters and games and stuff for a long time. So when my friends were like, "Oh, you got to see this 3D," and I'm like, "I've been there, done that. I've been playing that type of stuff for years. What are you talking about?" So, a little PC master race coming out of me right there. But back then PCs were groundbreaking, I guess, in the sense that, we had 3D shooters long before they appeared on consoles. Like, the first big, hey, this is amazing was Combat Evolved. And I just remember thinking, like, why is this so impressive to everyone? Right? I've been doing this for a long time already. But in terms of console, Halo was great. So I actually bought a console to play Halo 2 because I couldn't get that one on PC.
Yep. Back with those are the days. Those are the days.
Yeah.
God, sometimes we sit here, man, you think about those days, and maybe the games haven't come that far, but my God, like our gaming has progressed in terms of fidelity, control, a narrative. But the gaming community, the way we invested in our games, the way that change is not as good. To me, it's not. Like to me, getting up and smelling a magazine and reading about the latest games and going to a store like Perry's and seeing the games on the shelf and renting one and bringing it home for the first time. That fucking wonder. And going into the store and seeing not a little tiny shelf that shrunk down to 10 feet, little cube, but a fucking wall of games, stacks of games. Your local GameStop even had a wall in the back with all new games on it that said new, and they had copies. And I didn't have to pre-order every fucking thing to get one. I walked into the store and they had like, well, there's 100 of them here, but if you pre-order, you're guaranteed one. But we still got about 100 copies here, so you're good to go. Now it's you walk in to get a new game, and they're like, did you pre-order? And you're like, no, but it's like, this game is massive. Yeah, but we don't have any. We only brought in 6.
Yeah, they did that to me.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man.
I miss
Several
that
times
shit.
I'll walk in the GameStop, well, back in the day, like 5-6 years ago, on a whim. I would walk in, hey, do you have this game? Did you pre-order it? I'm like, I'm not even from the area. Oh, well, we can't sell it to you. It's like, what? You can't sell me a game? You're GameStop.
Yeah, you're a game store, and what, you can't order extras? The only thing you can order is for the people that walked in and plunked down money. That's so crappy. I kind of get it where they're going from, and I certainly understand more and more now because limited shelf space, and they don't want to invest in a game where they don't know if it's going to sell because most people now are into the ecosystem of digital or they're on Game Pass, and I totally kind of get it. But that doesn't mean that people like me don't exist and still want to walk in and buy a copy. Would it kill you to have 6 or 7 extra copies, or a dozen for that matter? You're probably going to sell them anyway, but like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's pretty bad, especially when they're big games.
Yeah. Right? I mean, I've been gaming on like digital for so long. It's, it is what it is, but I got to say, there's something to be said for that lineup, standing outside, waiting for Halo 3, at midnight for the stores the doors to swing open on your favorite game store and go running in and grab a copy and then rip home. And I mean, that I miss that. Like, that was cool. That was good times, man.
It was a socialization, man.
Oh yeah. Me and my buddies standing out there freezing our butts off and, waiting to get that game. It was awesome. Good times.
God, I remember buying Genesis games and Saturn games with my buddies because they're getting excited because I was the only guy in the neighborhood that had a copy and they all wanted to come to my fucking house and check it out. And they'd be sitting around my fucking couch watching me play this game and like, oh shit's amazing. Like Daytona and Virtua. Dude, you got a fucking arcade in your house. You're the fucking most impressive kid on the block. Like, holy shit, man. Because most people couldn't afford them, right? And that was what I was into. And they're all like, holy fuck, this guy, he's got all these consoles and these games. And like, that don't happen now. Everybody's like,
Now I wake up and half my friends beat the games, like on release day. I'm like, I just woke up. You guys beat the game already? Yeah, we already beat it.
Gaming has kind of gotten away the porn industry. Back in the 80s and 90s, it was fun because you rarely got to see it. Now it's everywhere and you're just like,
It has changed a lot, for better or worse. I mean, in general, I would say things are a lot better. I mean, we get some pretty darn amazing games now, right? Sure. We're not talking about ET from back in the day, but there is some of that nostalgia, waiting for that game day to release and having to go to the store to get it was pretty cool too.
For me, the trade-off is this kind of excitement. The fact that we're here talking about Starfield and the upcoming games and we're getting excited. We're doing this over the internet. People that have never met each other before. We've never met each other in real life. We're gaming together on Xbox and PlayStation, like random strangers. Like Talos Ray in the chat became a friend of mine through my podcast. And then we've since played games together and we've had an absolute blast. And there are many other guys here that I'm now friends with. The Mag, obviously a really good friend of mine who became a friend through my podcast, being a fan of my show, then being a guest on my show, and then being on Boomstick show. And now he's a huge fucking guy over on Colt Eastwood show. And he's one of my best friends in the gaming community. Amazing guy, the Mag. Shout out to you, brother. Love you and miss you. But like, these are the things now, the trade-offs. It's like, these are the people in my life I've never got to know and have never had this opportunity. And when I started podcasting, like I said years ago, I had this feeling like after I grew up and I moved away from high school and all my friends, it was like, does anybody care about gaming the way that I do? Because I felt like I was alone in the world. I felt like I was the only guy that got excited for a Halo or got excited for Gears of War. I'm like, why is nobody else sharing this passion of mine? And people get excited about movies all the time. They talk about going to see this one or that one. And I'm like, but where is that for the games? I want to see. And then I found these YouTube channels and I went, holy shit, there's people out there as nerdy as fuck as I am. I'm so happy. And here we have it today, right?
Yeah. And it's always funny, like, in being in the IT world and stuff, and I work in a company that's international, and I talk to people from all around the world. It's hilarious how you suddenly can just bond over gaming, and
Right?
you've never met this person. You got to, you're working on the same project or whatever, and the next thing you know, you just spent 35 minutes or 40 minutes talking about the games you're playing, and you realize, oh crap, we got 20 minutes left in this meeting and we haven't even touched on the project side. Right. But at the same time, it builds that relationship with the person. The projects usually go swimmingly, everything's wonderful because you have that common bond, and you can move forward, right? And
nobody
it's pretty
cares where
cool.
you're from, what background you are, what color you are, any of that bullshit. The majority of us that are real gamers, and we don't care. You know what? You're a gamer, and you're playing something that we all love, and we come together over it. We make good friends, and that's all that matters. All the rest of the crap. Well, that's just unfortunately, like I said, there's a small portion of the population that make the biggest noise, and there's some real bad idiots out there, and that comes with the territory, I guess. A lot of people are hyped and clout chasing, and they say shit for shits and giggles, that sort of stuff. And it's too bad. It's like the ladies in the chat. Like tonight, even I think maybe there's only been like one lady that showed up in the chat to say hello. That was Prey, aka Phasma. Shout out to her and Tony Grosso. But like I keep saying this all the time, like we got to encourage these ladies to stand up, step out, get their own podcast, get into this scene, start gaming with us and talking with us. I always feel like, God, why is it so male? I know there's lots of girls that game, but why are there so many refusing to kind of integrate or get involved with this? It seems like the bulk of the ladies I see gaming are basically like they're like this on YouTube all the time. Okay. And they're streaming. That's it. And it's like, there's some legitimate gamers out there that stream that are female, but there's a lot of bimbos too that simply they don't even know the lore, the background. They don't even know why they do it. They just know that they look good, and they get lots of little adolescent horny kids to subscribe to their channels. If you can't acknowledge your chat without getting a $5 fucking donation, you can go screw yourself with the fucking biggest butt plug you got in your house. Okay. Simple as that. Simple as that. Anyway, I digress.
Going back to one of your other points, though, with the clout chasers and stuff, right? And a lot of it's because the simple fact is most of the algorithms out there for engagement reward negativity.
True.
That's the reality. And until that changes, you're going to have the idiots out there being even bigger idiots because they get rewarded for being a big idiot.
Yeah.
That's life. That's life. It's the world we live in today. Anyway.
Backward society. All right.
Now that we're done complaining.
There you go. I think tonight, Game Complainerz has been the most positive guy on the show tonight.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Man.
But we're gonna wrap this up in just a sec. I guess lastly, one of the topics, and it's just Elder Scrolls is rumored to be potentially exclusive. Not that that's really surprising. We've heard talks in the past that it was on a case-by-case scenario, but I wouldn't be surprised in the in the grand scheme of things, and of course with where Game Pass is and trying to grow those numbers, it would be the next logical step, I think, from a Bethesda title, because it's something that it is their largest title. It's the one that I think most people know around the world. When you say Elder Scrolls, there's a reason why they have how many versions now of Elder Scrolls Online, because it's huge. It's a big game for them. It's a big win, and to have it exclusive to an Xbox PC marketplace would just be another big sell. But I guess the fear that I have now is if and when it comes. Well, it shouldn't be if, because we know it's going to come. It's just a matter of when. And there's speculation it could launch 2025, 2026, which is probably likely. I think they just said that they just kind of just start it right into the game. But the fear that I have is now, is the next Elder Scrolls going to get more of a Starfield treatment? Probably worse. It'll get lambasted and it'll get completely bashed because now it's a multiplat, or not a multiplat, it's a Xbox console ecosystem exclusive. So what do you guys think about
that was stolen from PlayStation? Right? Don't forget.
Stolen, yes, absolutely stolen. Game Complainerz, what do you think happens here? Do you think they'll go exclusive with it? Does it really matter? That sort of thing.
Microsoft definitely needs games that are exclusive, like in their library. I'd rather games be on every platform, to be honest with you, but I get it. Like, they bought the company, they own it, they can do what they want now. I think like console exclusives should be like the Sony games. That's fine, but when you like lock down third-party games, it's a different story. Final Fantasy. But now that they own the company, it's kind of first party, so I guess they could do whatever they want, really. I think that I'm going to be honest here. I think that the Elder Scrolls is more of a PC/Xbox type game.
Right.
Like those players are majority on PC or Xbox. There should be some. I mean, there are some on PlayStation, obviously, but I think that's more of the geared audience is PC and Xbox. So I don't think it's really going to hurt it. You're always going to have people review bombing games no matter what, whether they like it or not, or what platform it's on, or whatever it is. I don't know. It's really in their court. It depends how much money they could make on microtransactions and all the other stuff that they're going to definitely throw into those games. They're going to have to look at that and say how much of a hit are we going to take. And like I said, they need exclusives. So if they do that, I don't know, man. I think it's okay, but I kind of think it's kind of weird at the same time.
Do you think that potentially Microsoft could reconsider its position to put a game like that, even if they kept it as a timed exclusive for 6 months to a year, and then said, you know what, there's enough of a demand for this game on the PlayStation platform that maybe we should put it over there?
I think if there's a demand, they definitely should reconsider it. Because look at Minecraft, like that's all over the place, and that's making them a ton of money everywhere that it's at.
Starfield's an anomaly because it's a new IP. It's not like it was an established IP that people had a chance to fall in love with. But when you take an established IP and you move it over, okay, that becomes a little bit of a different story. I can kind of understand. It's like, if you've had a chance to fall in love with this series and you're on a particular platform, you just refuse to move over for whatever reason, then it's kind of like a stinger, right? Just sort of in the same way that to some degree Hellblade, right? Because it started as a PlayStation game. Then it moved over to Xbox, then to the Switch or whatever, and now it's Xbox PC exclusive. So people are kind of upset because they got started on PlayStation, now they can't finish it. So I do understand the plight, although again, this is business, and it's not like Sony hasn't. Again, well, if you look at Final Fantasy, perfect example, it started on Nintendo even before it came to Sony, and then to bring out Final Fantasy 15 for Xbox. And then all of a sudden say 16 is not coming, that makes no sense. It's like, so that kind of sucks, right?
But and then the prequel for 7 is on Xbox, but not 7. So
the prequel for 7 is on, not 7. And then 7, of course, was even worse, that 7 was even displayed on the Xbox stage.
Yes, I
remember. And they said it was coming to Xbox. So
it was an accident, but they showed it.
And then never showed up. I mean, that reeks of dirty tactics somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. So business is business. What do you think, Mantle?
I'll be the guy that says make it exclusive. And the reason for that, I mean, it sounds maybe like I'm being a jerk, but I'm not. Ultimately, the more competition there is, and the more things that are, pulled away or whatever you want to say, it forces your competition to be better too. And in the end, that's better for all gamers. So if they make it exclusive, Sony has to counter it.
Yep.
Maybe they develop a new IP that blows it out of the water, and it wouldn't be there if it wasn't made exclusive.
Mental, they did. So they're going to charge us gamers another $20 to have PlayStation Premium so they can bring us better content.
Yeah, well, there you go, right? But I mean, ultimately, I think, make it exclusive. And, you need, like you mentioned at Game Complainerz there, that they need to have exclusive titles on their platform. And, the reality is all these guys say, if you want to play God of War, just buy a PS5. Well, if you want to play Elder Scrolls 6, buy an Xbox.
Yep, exactly.
Or a PC, or cloud stream it on your tablet or your laptop or whatever you have. The one thing I can say about Xbox is their ecosystem kicks butt. Like you can play pretty much anywhere. And, I can go from my Series X to my PC to my tablet to whatever I want to load up a game on, and it's there and it works. Sony needs to catch up on that front.
Yes.
Do you think you'd have PS Plus in the state it's in today if it wasn't for Game Pass? You wouldn't. You'd still be sitting around with PS Now renting PlayStation 3 games. Let's not forget, the only reason PS4 games became downloadable was because of Game Pass.
Yep.
And the inevitable comparisons. And the horrible input latency that PS Now had at the time, it was brutal. You couldn't play games on that, at least not where I lived. It was bad, right? And it's got so much better. And that's because of competition. Why do you think Xbox is doing what they're doing, right? They're being pushed to be better. because Sony was trying to push them out of business.
Yep.
So now you get what you get. A little bit of competition is good for consumers. It's nice to see it. So make it exclusive.
Fair points. Fair points. Certainly appreciate that. We got a super chat coming in from our great friend Angel Azrael 7, and drops a $5 Australian. Go ahead, Mental. You can read this one out.
Great work. Green heart, smiley face with sunglasses, thumbs up. I want more OG Xbox remasters. There's a treasure trove of great games that never made it to back compat.
Amen. Preach on that.
Yeah, he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Preach on that. Me too, man. There's been a lot of the original Xbox stuff in particular that's still not out there. Hey, what's up? Woo!
Kids are going to bed.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyway, our show is running a little long in the tooth tonight, but it's good. We've had some great discussion. Like I said, we were 40-odd minutes in before we even really got into the main topic, which tells you that we are having fun. We're having a great time chatting and talking about all things gaming, and that's what a beautiful podcast is about. Is just having fun with like-minded people. We can agree to disagree on certain things, absolutely, but again, we're all adults and we're sensible about it. And the show and any of my podcasts have never been about the hits, clicks, and saying shit just to get the views. I just tell it like I see it, and you either like that or you don't. And Mental's the same way, and Titan's always been the same way. Love us or hate us, man. We just tell it like we see it, and I feel the Game Complainerz is much the same as well. So. But anyway, we're going to get ready to shut down. Before we go tonight, though, of course, we will give you the opportunity to get your questions ready. You can do Arnold. We can have Safe House Sam. We can have Cletus if you like, or maybe a question for all of the three. I'm going to leave Handy Andy to his own ordeal. I think he's a little under the weather tonight. So probably, when you've had your hand up somebody's ass for so long, you're probably going to get some kind of finger herpes. So, but anyway. So if you have your questions ready, go ahead and fire them off. We'll get them ready now as we get ready to close the show because we are, like I said, running close to the 2-hour mark. So question for Cletus, Safe House, or Arnold, they'll be happy to answer them. Go ahead. Whoever's got one. It could be the panel. If you guys got one quick, by all means. Anybody? You got one, Game Complainerz? You look like you've been building up a question for weeks.
Arnold. I don't know what I would ask him now.
Go ahead.
Ask Arnold how... if he would buy the PSVR 600. I don't know.
I didn't have to go and buy the PSVR. I came over to Newcomb's house and the fucking idiot already had it here. It's sitting over there. I tried to play it, but it's crazy. I got into this one game that he had on the Horizon Forbidden. What the hell is it? Climb the fucking mountain. Honest to God, I haven't worked out so hard since I was in my Mr. Olympia days. My arms were so tired. I was reaching up. I was like, holy fuck, I'm going to end up going to some country and I'm going to pull coconuts down out of the tree because I've been climbing all day long. What the hell is that? I'm in an Aloy. She's going around with the cute little bum and a bow and arrow. She's shooting shit. In this game, you're up the mountain. You're up and down the mountain. You put in a pick into here and a pick into there and a pick into somewhere else, picking your nose. But the whole fucking time you're climbing. I mean, I want to sit down and play a game. I don't want to build up my shoulders and sweat my bones off in here.
Oh man, that was great. Thank you.
I love it. Thanks, Arnold. Hey, Arnold, are you playing Starfield, Arnold?
Oh man,
is that a game for you?
I want to know if you're not playing Starfield, what are you doing? Get out of the washroom and take your hands out of your underwear. Play some Starfield is a great game. You'll enjoy it. Now, it's not as good as a sci-fi is going to be and say something like Total Recall. I mean, how can you beat Total Recall when we had Guato, the little mongoloid dude that come out of somebody's stomach, Guato, whatever,
Yeah.
And of course, then you have 3 boobied ladies. I mean, it doesn't get any better than 3 boobied ladies. And, we had Michael Ironside in there and Sharon Stone. I mean, Sharon Stone, she was amazing, got to work side by side. And the whole time he was on the set with Sharon Stone, I was like, can you sit in the chair? With your skirt on, sit in the chair. I want you to do the Basic Instinct for me. Come on, sit in the chair. She wouldn't fall for it, though. I get slapped.
Right on.
Okay. Any more?
Arnold, do you enjoy being in Mortal Kombat?
Uh-oh.
It is always amazing to be in Mortal Kombat. I've always wanted to be part of the game, and now I can. And the best part about it is not only did I get to kick Stallone's ass, but apparently now I get to kick Jean-Claude Van Damme's ass. Now all we have to do is get Steven Seagal up in there. But you know what? If they get Steven Seagal in Mortal Kombat, what is going to happen is he's going to come out with some cheesy one-liner, and he's going to bore us all to death with the same character that he's been playing for the last 30 years. He's some kind of a sheriff or a cop or somebody with a long ponytail, and he talks like this. I'm gonna kick your ass. Don't punch me. I know kung fu or some kind of jiu-jitsu. No, this is what I'm saying. Like, no, you get to have me on there. I am the ultimate superstar, and I should be in Mortal Kombat. It's a crazy ass, kick-ass game. Good job to you, Mr. Ed Boon.
Oh man, Angel Azrael 7 says, "Hey Arnie, are you in like that girl in the horror movie Rings, in that you appear in the Virtual Boy to spook off players back in the day?"
I didn't have to come up out of a well with some long crazy hair. Look, all I had to do to scare anybody back in the day was just do the Terminator. Walking in and be like, "Are you Sarah Connor?" She'd be like, "No, I'm not Sarah Connor." And I'd be like, "Are you sure? Are you in the phone book?" "No, I'm not Sarah Connor." "Well, today you're going to be Sarah Connor because I'm a T-800. I weigh about 1,000 pounds and I'm too lazy to go next door. So you're going to be Sarah Connor. I'm going to shoot you and say my mission is complete."
Nice. And Dreadpool's wondering, Arnold, speaking of Mortal Kombat, how do you feel that they use that other guy as your voice as opposed to at Noof Nukem's?
Well, anybody who's played the game, first and foremost, you're going to notice that guy is not very good. It is a very poor impression of me. Why the hell they haven't hired Noof Nukem to do these impressions is beyond me. I think it is one of the best impressions ever of me doing it. So come on, you guys, hire Noof Nukem. You're going to at least do my voice. You got to at least get somebody who can do something. And not like all of the other impersonators. Okay, there's a billion Arnold impersonators, and you know what they all say? "Get to the chopper." That's all they know how to say is "get to the chopper." Do it. Come on. You know, this kind of crap. Noof Nukem is the only Arnold guy I've ever heard who actually can talk, who actually can go and have a conversation and make up his own lingo. Not just do the one-liners from the movie. That is the truth. So take it from me. Hire Noof Nukem, get him on the podcast, get his ass in there. He is the best Arnold impersonator.
Arnold, I got one more question. Arnold, would you put on the Christmas sweater?
If you pay me enough money, I'll put on any Christmas sweater. Rubber baby bumpy bunkers. Whatever you want me to do, you just pay me the money and I will show you the cunning. What the hell did I just say? Anyway, I will put the Christmas sweater on. I will look for we should have a jingle on the way, another one. I should do a sequel to that. What do you think? Another jingle all the way? I'll do it.
Oh, man. What a movie. Hey, Arnold, this is from Sir X-Men.
Yeah.
Why didn't they put you in the Barbie movie?
Uh-oh.
Because if I was in the Barbie movie, I would have been too busy in Barbie in the movie. I'm famous for doing the Maid. That's why I have the orange just ready when we're having sex. It's called Minute Maid.
Oh, man.
Slendy, Arnold, did it hurt getting drop kicked by that guy?
Honestly, one of the hardest things I ever had to do was when I had to hold up Sully from Commando with my one arm and a hand, dangle him over the trench. That was pretty impressive, huh? What do you think of that? And then I had to jump out of that plane into the swamp. That was some crazy stunts. Tom Cruise, eat your heart out.
And Arnold, one more. I think we'll call this one the last one. What do you think about John Cena as the Terminator? And that was from the G-Man 316.
John Cena, swear to God, what the hell is up with the John Cena love? I mean, he's all over the place. I'd rather to see a whole bunch of different people as the Terminator, but certainly not John Cena. I'm sorry. He's a great wrestler and all that, but that's where it ends. Other than that, no, I don't want John Cena to be anywhere close to the Terminator franchise. No, get him out of there.
All right. Thanks, okay. Arnold.
All right, looks like we got a super chat to end off the show from RWK88. He drops $1.99.
And a great show and awesome guest.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. We couldn't agree more. But we will end this show. We are 4 minutes from hitting the full 2-hour mark. Despite being one of the longest podcasts ever. Here we go. 16 episodes in. It's been an amazing ride so far. We'd like to keep it going, and hopefully we'll have Titan Drago back next week. We certainly look forward to having the Game Complainers, a.k.a. Perry, back on the show. Awesome background, by the way. He's been an awesome guest tonight. Did not disappoint. We hope you guys enjoyed him. Give us feedback in the chat over on YouTube. Let us know. Like I said, we want to have more new people to come on here and voice their stuff. And again, Game Complainers, keep at her, man. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And
awesome,
especially like today with the store. We wish you all the best. I wish I was close enough to you. I could be a regular customer of yours. That'd be awesome. There you go.
No kidding.
Me and Mental would be in your store all the time.
Awesome.
But anyway, guys, please support the podcast, the channel, all that good stuff. Hit that like, comment, and subscribe. And Game Complainers, let people know where they can find you, whether it's on social media, on a channel, or any other stuff that you got going down.
You can find me on Twitter or X, Game Complainers, but with a Z instead of an S because someone stole the name. And then we're on YouTube on The Game Complainers with an S. And every Wednesday night around 10:30 p.m. we podcast. And that's pretty much it. That's where you can find me. And shout out to Dreadpool once again, because he's the one that recommended Noof have me on. So
he did indeed. I think he was at least the second person, but he was the first guy to mention it. But I think somebody else said, yeah, he'd be a great guest. So that's fantastic. Awesome. You got some support, man. And that's where it starts.
Thanks.
All righty. And catching up, obviously, with Mental Dinar, brother. Let people know where they can find you. Obviously, Caffeine Entertainment keeping you up.
That's my YouTube brand, and you can find me everywhere else as at Mental9R on X and on PSN and on Xbox. I was going to say Xbox Live. Of course, it's not Xbox Live anymore, but Game Pass Core or whatever you want to call it. But you'll find me at Mental9R and even on Steam.
You just call him Did you call him a Game Pass whore? Shut up, Andy.
Go back to bed, Andy.
And you guys know where to find me. Always in the gutter, yes, obviously. And I don't know if you guys noticed this tonight, but I kind of did, and I wanted to kind of laugh at it. If I pulled the glasses off, does anybody notice I kind of starting to look a little bit like a fat Lloyd Christmas? Dumb and Dumber.
Lloyd Christmas.
Look at my hair. My bang is perfectly straight. I was looking at myself and I'm like, God, I look like a fat Lloyd Christmas here all of a sudden.
The bowl. Where's the bowl? Oh my.
Oh shit. Hey,
right on.
You know, you make fun of yourself. That's awesome. But it's a great show. Chat, you guys have been awesome. I hope I caught up and said hello to everybody. Dragonheart, Yobi, G-Man 316, Eternal Shaddai in the house, like I said, RWK, Slendy, Talus Ray, Timothy Dixon, Doggy Dog, Sir X-Man, so many great people in the house, and I'm sure a lot of people are probably not watching because they're either watching football. This is Monday Night Football for a lot of people. Also, some people come over from Colt Eastwood's podcast, and I guess lastly, people are busy. They're probably like planets in the Starfield right now. So can't blame you if you're gaming. That's a good thing to be doing if you're not checking those podcasts out. Angel, Azrael, everybody that's super chat. Like I said, guys, they're not required, but they are certainly greatly appreciated. And like I said, a lot of the times we take that money that comes in for the channels and we put it back into giveaways and stuff like that. So like I said, you support the channel, we support the chat. It goes kind of around and around. Crazy Greek dude, brother, good to see you. I got to catch up with some of you guys soon, play some games. Same thing with you, Game Complainers and Mental. Let's hook up, play games sometime. I want to try to get the community together here real soon. As a matter of fact, Jago Kukin, I think, reminded me, or somebody did, that the Titanfall servers have been now repaired. Titanfall 2. Amazing game to have a community game night with. Ton of fun, and we should get everybody together for a community game night on that because it's absolutely hilarious. So good, so fun. Even if you're not good at Titanfall, you can get in and have a good time. So definitely need to do a Titanfall 2 night here very soon. I'll keep you posted on that, guys. And before I end the show, there's a good chance I will probably be streaming shortly, and I'm thinking I'm going to do some Starfield over on my Twitch channel, which is NoofNukem76 at twitchtv.com. So go check that out. And if you're able, I'll be firing it up shortly from the Xbox, the old Starfield. So if you want to come see me get my ass kicked or go kick some ass or go explore some desolate planets or make fun at some weird faces in the game, let's do it. Let's go. Starfield, baby. Garfield, baby. Woo! Have a good night, everybody.
Starfield.
Good night. Thank you,
everyone.
Take care. We'll
Bye-bye.
see you next week.
All right.
Good night.